So yeah, officially welcome to the Siebel Friday for May 2024. And as you can see on the screen, we slide back a bit in history to rehearse the news from 24.4, the Siebel release that was slightly delayed and we didn't make it into the Siebel Friday last time. So let's start with the usual Siebel CRM update. And 24.4 brought several features. So there's one very special feature that was waited for a long time. That is the format toolbar for the form applet editor. We have an enhancement for UCM, Universal Customer Master, in terms of it can now use the event-driven architecture, aka Kafka integration. And also there are news for the clinical trial mobile application. The Tomcat as of 24.4 was 9085. That was unchanged from 24.3. And yeah, here it is in all its glory, the WebTools format toolbar for the form applet editor that is, of course, placed into WebTools since IP17. And since IP17, well, it was more or less missing this format toolbar. And now it's back with additional buttons even. So there are 2 more buttons. And yeah, I gave it a spin actually with a rather chunky form applet. And I have to say, yeah, this here developer is quite pleased with the outcome. So formatting form applets in the grid layout editor is now much more pleasant experience. Yeah, one could say. Do you have anybody out there have any had any hands-on with this new toolbar already?
Yeah, I play with it a little bit.
Nick, yeah, and you said in the chat you're missing the corral function. Okay, I think I know what this means.
Select a group by
the
have some shift
gesture,
control.
yeah, the gesture to drag and drop a region, right?
Yep, just like that.
And select multi-select. Yeah, that's not available in WebTools. Maybe it will come. I don't know, but maybe someone from Oracle in the room can say more about this.
No, it's not part of the plan yet, but I'd like it to be.
Okay. So hopefully it will come back. I like the term
so.
corral function. Yeah, that sounds like lassoing in the the controls there. Right. So yeah, good news for Siebel Web Tools, definitely. And also in other news, users of Universal Customer Master can now use pre-built integration with Apache Kafka based on the event publication subscription that was introduced back in June last year, 23.6. And I haven't really looked into that too much, but I get that there are predefined events and workflows and probably business services that allow you to support the synchronization of golden records for account, contacts, households, and so forth with other systems by using Kafka topics as well, the intermediate stage for the data and publishing subsequently to other systems. And CTMS users, especially of the CTMS mobile application, get improved capabilities with 24.4. Also, I haven't looked personally into that. I have no access to CTMS mobile, but yeah, I guess it's quite an improvement for this specific application. Okay. So if there's anything you want to say about any of these topics and chime in. Of course, the chat is open, microphones are open. So this we can skip. We discussed this last Siebel Friday. As a reminder, the statement of direction was published in April. So go, if you haven't done already, go and get it from Oracle support and read and understand the direction of Siebel over the next few years, the roadmap, so to speak. But now we're looking at 24.5. The most recent Siebel release was just published a few days, maybe a week ago. I can't recall. And it has no official new features, but one interesting addition to Bookshelf, and also an addition to a feature that many of us know and have used, the flatten workspace feature. We'll talk about that in a moment. Also, there is quite a lot of updates on auxiliary libraries and software to see in 24.5. So if you install it, you probably do it because of security concerns. For Tomcat, which has received a minor update to 80.86, or the Zookeeper, which actually has also been updated to 3.8.3. And if you use the OCI Java SDK, for example, for the pre-built AI integration with, the speech transcription, the attachment transcription, or the PII flag on service requests, those demo use cases, they are built on top of the OCI Java SDK, which is shipped as a zip file. And upon opening that zip file on my sandbox, I noticed that the SDK in that zip file is also a newer one than in previous versions, so 3.33. So plenty of version updates for auxiliary software and libraries, if you will. So a flattened workspace, yes, I admit I've done it. I've flattened workspaces before, and you can do it from the siebdev, the Siebel tools executable, if you have a Windows environment, or a siebdev CLI, or run for any operating system. And as you know the feature, it works on the main workspace and deletes all the workspaces below that main workspace and resets the main workspace to 0. And that's the behavior that we know. And as Bookshelf informs us in an update that as of 24.5 and higher, we can supply the name of an integration workspace, just that's taken from Bookshelf literally. And so and then it will just work on that integration workspace, but still the same happens to any workspace it deletes. It's deleted forever, unrecoverable, unless you have a backup taken, which is, of course, the right thing to do before attempting the flattening. So you can recover from a failed attempt. And any undelivered, any changes that have not been delivered in these child workspaces will, of course, be obliterated. So, yeah, what is anything you have to say about flattening workspaces?
Yeah, hi Alex. Yeah, I've got a few things to say on this.
Hi, James.
Yeah, I mean, we probably do it about twice a year, and not for the reasons that are listed. We do it due to performance problems. So we end up in a state where we have so many workspaces in development that the performance degrades very significantly. This falls off a cliff. So we do a flatten and full publish, and then do a full migration to our target environments to get the watermarks in line
as a cleanup of sorts.
Yeah.
So
and it works. It's obviously a bit of effort, and you have to be careful, obviously, if any workspaces are in play. Making sure we export them out so that we can put them back in afterwards. But like I say, it's not for those reasons. It's purely because of the performance. And one of the reasons we have so many workspaces is because our developers kind of don't like creating integration workspaces because it takes so long. Because it's creating all the list of values. 60 odd thousand. It
copies
takes ages.
the LOVs.
And then, our testers don't like testing in dev because the data's so bad, and you can't refresh development because it's not supported with a design time repository.
Yeah.
Which means we only want to test in pre-prod, which means that we end up releasing to main to get it into pre-prod, because we haven't got lots of test environments. So it's a whole combination of factors that we end up with lots of workspaces, and then performance issues, and then having to flatten and full publish.
Yes. Of course, you have. So yeah, as it says on the slide, you can run it to clean up like you described. Oracle recommends using the delete feature rather, which is, of course, if you don't use integration workspaces at all, you would have to delete each developer workspace individually, which
but
is
you can't. It's not supported.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Not yet. It's coming, but at the moment,
I did delete developer workspaces recently, but I think it depends on the status. Maybe Kerry can advise on that.
Not the version we're on.
You can delete developer workspaces, but you can't delete them if they're outside of an integration workspace. That's coming.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that because I'm always obviously inside an integration workspace. So yeah.
The way it'll work is that you can pass it a list of specific developer workspaces or a parent workspace and say, delete all of the ones underneath here. They have to have been in a delivered state.
Yeah. Okay. So you can, just to summarize, you can delete a developer workspace if it's a child of an integration workspace.
Yeah. But you can't if it's just sitting under main. Right now you can't.
Okay. Yeah. So you learn a new thing every day.
And as an aside, I'd say I'd love the ability to run REST requests to actually run workspace stuff, like create workspace, deliver workspace, delete workspace. That'd be pretty awesome if you could do it via REST and not via a batch. Well, supported anyway.
I agree.
Via batch.
It's just a matter of prioritization, but I definitely agree.
Yes, that would really help with the whole CI/CD thing. That when you have a RESTful ability to manage your workspaces, of course, everyone would agree. And as James said, after flattening, for whatever reason, you always must consider doing a full publish after that, and also a full migration after that, because that a flattened workspace obliterates the versioning, so you have no watermark anymore for incremental migration. So you have to do full migration after that, and then you're back on track. Okay, so so new stuff, a lot of new stuff around workspaces, web tools we have seen, and there's a discussion on the chat where Jason says it would be nice to create predefined queries for workspaces, and as Kerry points out in the chat, you can create PDQs in web tools. Indeed, you can go to workspace dashboard in web tools, or probably even the application where you have predefined queries as well, and then run a query in the workspace list, and then save it as a query, and then go to the predefined query admin view and maybe add, for example, a filter for rated within the last week, or using Siebel query language, extend that and make it public. So that works. I can confirm that. I've used it and seen it with customers.
Yeah, we've done it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know if you're eventually going to add the ability to where we can restore production to dev and re-import the design time repository?
Okay, that's a question for Kerry.
We're not going to make the ability to bring data from production into a development or test environment. That's something that we, as Oracle, have decided never to do.
Okay. Is there a specific reason for that?
Yes, because there could be data in there that is specific to customer privacy, and we do not want that to be brought into an environment where it could be accessed by people who have no business looking at that data. So even though you might say, well, that's our decision. Yes, it is, but we are not going to help you to do that, help you to shoot yourself in the foot.
Okay, so what is the recommended way to get, to get prod and dev synced up?
I don't think we have one. We don't have a recommended way.
Okay.
Customers have to, anything that we say, this is what we think you should do, is tacitly saying we are okay with this. So we can't really give you any help in this area. All we can say is get ACS involved. I think they're called CCS now, to help you get that data there. They can do it. But we can't publish something verbal or written that says, this is how we recommend that you do it. Oracle will not accept that.
Okay.
But you know, we could refresh any other database. So we could have a test database as a copy of prod. And for the same reason, people could access to that shouldn't have access to prod data.
Right.
So it's no different from that perspective. So you're not stopping us from doing that. And
No, we're not trying to stop you.
Well, but you are by saying that you're not supporting it, but we are doing it anyway. It's just not a DR environment. And before DR and RR environments, going back a few releases, we were doing it on dev. Every client I've ever worked has always done it. We also have our own redaction. I've written my own redaction, library that redacts data in any environment. So we have ability to do it, and it's very frustrating. And just go back to what I said, testers do not use our development environment because the data is so old and so poor, it's not reliable enough, which forces us onto another environment to do testing, which we would go to anyway, but you don't want to have to do, you want to do testing earlier in the life cycle. And we're now having to do it later in the life cycle because we can't refresh a development database.
Yeah, I understand. We just can't do it. Oracle's we've asked, and legal says
there's no can't as if, there's only won't. I mean,
yeah. So we know that you're going to do it, and it's necessary, but Oracle Legal has told us not to have anything to do with it.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Kerry, for the candid details here.
Yeah, and then a note on the flattened workspace, the addition to Bookshelf. It's incorrect, and that's completely my fault. I misinterpreted what we did, what we fixed in 24.5. Although it works just like Alex is saying, it's no different than you just delivering an integration workspace and then flattening. So what we really did behind the scenes was to clean up the RR tables in addition when we do the flattening. That wasn't happening. So we would flatten and the RR tables would still keep their compiled data in there. And what we did for 24.5 was make it so that those tables are now cleaned up as well. And I'm going to be changing Bookshelf. Everything here you see is correct, but it's implied that you would be able to flatten a single integration workspace and leave all other workspaces untouched. That's not true. We can't do that. Flatten works the same as it always had. It's just that we have included the ability to clean out the RR tables. So take this little flattened workspace section and its twisted mentality with a grain of salt. I'll get it fixed.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, so we had a discussion, and I noticed that the behavior is a little different, to say the least, than as expected. And so, thanks for that. And so there will be an update probably to next Bookshelf.
If I flat the workspaces, we never did this. We saw no reason for. If I flat the workspaces, I also lost. I lost the workspace. I'm still able to delete inactivated objects again. That's this, from my point of view, is a reason to flat the workspace. If I remember correct, if we switch over from IP 15 or 16, don't remember, to the Siebel 2018, there was a special step I have to run to enable the workspaces.
Right.
And up to this point, I was able to delete inactive objects like AirPads, views, etc. Now, after 6 years, we have tons of inactivated objects. And we're not able to delete them now with the workspaces. We just can inactivate them. A hard delete of an object which is inactive over all versions is a nice feature. We have over the years, we're collecting tons of inactive objects.
Yeah, it's the way that workspaces currently work. We want to be able to keep the history and the merge logic, and you can reactivate something later on. Once it's gone, it's gone. And I understand sometimes customers actually want that gone for good. But the way that workspaces are intended to be used is that we want to have a history of delivery and merges. And when those records are gone, the history goes away as well.
Yes, I understand it. But I understand you do not want to lose the history. But on the other hand, you enable a feature like delete integration objects and delete development workspaces. So in this case, you also lost the history.
Yes, that's true.
We only keep the history. We're working with an integration workspace, and integration workspace is like a release in our case. And we have the last 2 years. These are 12 integration workspaces, and we also notice if you have too much stuff inside, it slow down. So we delete.
Yes, you're right.
And so the argumentation, I can understand the argumentation, but the implementation is inconsequent from my point of view.
Well, okay, so it's a valid point, and the repository can become really cluttered. So let me consult with engineering to see if it's feasible, and maybe they have a reason that I'm not aware of that this is not a good idea, but maybe there isn't one.
If I remember correct, I also wrote it last year in Munich on the what's the English word for the feedback Brian wanted. If you can tell him work specification, then you remember me and the letter.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you coin the phrase work specification?
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure understanding this now correct.
Oh, did you invent the word?
Yes.
Oh, great.
It's the German way to combine words. We can put them together in other language. You need sentence form.
Oh, well, that's great because it's really taken hold internally.
Oh, cool.
That's what we call it.
I will tell tomorrow. Great, cool.
Nice story there. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Thomas, for these thoughts, and also Carrie, of course, for following up on that. Okay, so great discussion there. So that's it for the Siebel, for the features and enhancements we found in the last two releases, 24.4 and 5. In other news, Oracle has announced the public availability of the new version of the flagship database, and of course, as is now the general norm, AI is slapped onto everything, and the database is now dubbed 23 AI, a change from 23C, which was the previous versioning. So 23 AI it is. It's available as of early May, so there are plenty of blog posts, and you probably consumed them voraciously. And if you're in any way interested in the Oracle database, then there's tons of super interesting stuff there, which is built into that. What's the correct term? Next major release or next support release? So it's the successor of 19C, essentially. So for Siebel customers, this means that this is a database version that is not yet certified, not yet. And I guess, Carrie, I'm guessing loudly that its certification is on the way or to be expected, and let's say within the intermediate future, probably.
Yeah, I can't give a date, but it's a higher priority.
Yes. And so we will soon, as Siebel customers using Oracle database, will soon be able to, get benefits from all of these features, including, of course, the AI integration. That is, you can literally connect or even import an LLM into your database to assist you with vector search. There's a new vector column type. I demonstrated the vector search in an earlier Siebel Friday, not with the database 23 AI, but of course you can implement something similar already. And that's a great future ahead for Siebel deployments on Oracle database. Anything you want to share about this database?
Will they use containers like they do now?
I think it's the standard now to have a container database.
Yeah.
So there's no other way.
Yeah, at least on OCI, it's always been that way.
Yes. So I have quickly I've quickly downloaded a container from the free the container registry Oracle. There's a free container you can download and run it. Yeah, I wasn't. I'm dimly aware that it uses a container. Yeah. Okay.
I've got a general question just about the kind of support path for this stuff. So obviously at some point 23 will become kind of a officially supported version. Is there a kind of a typical SLA about how long we will stay supported on a 19C? Bearing in mind we only upgraded to 19C in production last weekend. We were on 12C, and which had fallen off a supported path, and which is another issue because you don't. At least I'm not aware of something falling off a supported path without going into Oracle Metalink and then manually searching to see what products are certified with a version that we're on. We don't get kind of active notifications to say, by the way, 12 is dropping off or whatever. So I suppose there's two questions there. One is there a typical SLA? How long we'll be on 19 before we need to kind of upgrade to 23 from a support perspective? And also, is there a way of getting alerts when something falls off, like the supported path?
Okay. Probably also a question to Oracle or even Oracle support, I guess.
And maybe about just for on people on here, whether there's
I haven't heard. It's a good idea. I think that we would notify our customers when something is going to be unsupported, but I haven't heard of anyone taking an initiative for that. Basically, what they do is they have the certification tab, and it's up to you to search it all. But it would be nice to have a proactive thing, and I can ask tech support manager about that.
Don't they normally release like a roadmap like quarterly or something? Because I think that's what we were kind of, and it was like on a blog post that we were subscribed to. I think that was kind of what we were looking at as a general, because it wasn't just Siebel, it's like all the applications that use the Oracle database. We had to take account for that.
Okay. So I also guess maybe this slide will prompt us to talk about, and the certification tab was mentioned on Oracle support. So if you look into the Siebel certification for, Brian has often brought this up on Siebel Fridays. I just want to use it as a reminder to everyone that Oracle is no longer, for quite some time now, not certifying a specific version of the database for Siebel, but rather, for example, for Siebel Enterprise Server, but rather a specific version of the database client. And Kerry, that is not going to change, right?
Right.
So as soon as
we certify the clients, not the databases.
And I checked just a few days ago. I checked the database client 19C that is currently certified for Siebel is not certified for 23 AI. So you would have to cross-check the certification of the Oracle database client you're using, and as soon as this client is certified for 23 AI, is that true that we're good to go, right? To install Siebel on or upgrade the database to 23 AI.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is something to watch out for when the database client gets certified for 23 AI. Okay, I don't know if that will happen, if there will be 19C, the client 19C will be certified for 23, but it's highly likely. I guess. I'm just guessing. Okay, but it's probably early to talk about 23 AI, but maybe a year from now, we have Siebel running happily on 23 AI, and an LLM inside the database is vectorizing the data. And so let's see what the future holds. Okay. And one more announcement in terms of what Oracle is doing is that Oracle has pushed out the dates for the Oracle Applications Unlimited tour, which is taking place all across Europe in the fall, starting on 15th October in Milan, in Italy, and going until six dates in different cities in Europe. You see them on your screen right now. And there's also a link I will put in the video description, so you can find the registration page. Should you be in or around Europe at that point in time, it would be great to see you there. So the Siebel Hub team is, as always, planning to be there and be a part of this Applications Unlimited tour. It's always great to meet people in person, like-minded people, talk about the future of Siebel. Okay, so that's the final slide I have. And now I would like to shift gears a little bit into devpops, because we have a new devpops release as well. And James has a substantial contribution that he made to devpops that I would like to demonstrate. So first, just as a reminder, if anybody in the room is not familiar with devpops, I'll just point to the GitHub repository from Black Sheep, so my own GitHub repository where I post useful stuff, hopefully useful, and devpops is one of the strictly educational utilities. I always repeat that it's not meant for use in any mission critical environment. It's a learning utility. Learn how to use Siebel OpenUI, the REST API, do some clever stuff in Siebel clients. And it's aimed at developers, at providing a toolkit for developers to make our developer experience a little bit easier, but it's still an educational package. And you can download the latest version. You get the latest version on GitHub, so it's out there, 24.5. And there's one new feature, an ERD, Entity Relationship Diagram viewer, courtesy of James McDonald. So put your hands together for James. Thank you very much for contributing to devpops. And so
I haven't seen it
yet. You haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so we have the devpops menu here once you have devpops running. And in the X-ray, I think it's a good place to put it in the X-ray tab. There's the ERD viewer. So I have a view open currently. So if I click the ERD viewer, it doesn't show anything. You have to click the button first, generate ERD, and it will generate a zoomable and scrollable entity relationship diagram based on the current view, its business object, and also displays nicely the base tables, the business components, the applets, of course, in the view, the business components behind those applets, the search spec and sort spec of the business component, also resolves the links, showing the intersection table here and showing the other applet and business component information. So as it is devpops, you can click the applet, for example, or the business component, and you get the workspace history, which is a recent feature. A feature already exists in devpops to get the workspace history for any given object using the Siebel REST API. So I see that in this developer workspace, there was a script added to the business component, for example. And yeah, of course, you can repeat that for any given view. So let's go to my opportunities, and well, it's a little bit more interesting if you're on a master detail view. Let's check it out. So always takes the active view and now shows the applets and related information of that view. You can zoom and scroll. There's another intersection table there. And I was implementing this with the help of James, who shared the code and gave me an introduction. And I was thinking, okay, it's super, it's definitely nice. So let me know what you think in the chat.
Yeah, this is very nice. What does the generate SQL or copy SQL to clipboard do? Is it?
Okay, you noticed that?
Yeah.
So this takes, or maybe James, you talk through it. So if I click General SQL,
yeah, it's quite basic. Obviously, it's hard, as you know, to kind of do dynamic SQL. So it's really just looking at the main tables in the business object relationship. So various tables that are showing up in ERD, whether it's a one-to-many or a many-to-many, it's kind of just showing those relationships and with a basic join. But what it does as well is it gets, if there's any row IDs for the active row that you're looking at, it gets those row IDs and adds that into the SQL as well. So we use it as a kind of quick and dirty way. If you try to debug something, we can just get out of the SQL for the view, and you can mess around with it from there, can't you? So it's quite simple, I suppose.
Yeah. So you could copy paste that SQL into SQL Developer or any SQL tool and get the records you currently see on the screen, right? That's
I only output the search spec and sort spec if there are any as a comment. Didn't take the effort to try and convert that to SQL, because obviously in some cases you can, and some you can't. So just kept it simple, really.
Okay, yeah, that's another feature that James built here, along with the copy to clipboard function, or well, there's a clear button obviously, and you can go from there again. So this works on the active view when you use it like this. And I thought it would be nice, for example, for a developer in Web Tools to select any view in the list of views and resolve the view and see the same results, because the data is just there. It's using the REST API for workspaces, by the way. So it's workspace aware in devpops. Whatever workspace you currently have open, you see that. So it works in Web Tools as well, of course, because of devpops doing the impossible, extending Web Tools. So it should work for almost any view. I noticed there's a few views where it doesn't work. Probably, I haven't really investigated much, but it's a kickstart. So let's just try this one, and yeah, that resolves nicely. So you can select any view and press a button and see the ERD. Obviously, the generate SQL is useless here because there's no data available for that business object, but it's just displaying it's displaying what it can.
Yeah, this is one step closer to the view relationships that we have in tools,
which is in Siebel tools, and So it reminded me of that. It's of course a little bit different from resolving the relationships between the objects, but yeah, it's a step in that direction.
That's kind of where it came from, to be honest. It's like one of our pod support guys was asking, "Oh, could we just have an ERD? Does Siebel have an ERD?" Like, have you seen how many tables there are?
It has in Siebel tools,
yeah. But that's when the idea came from. It's like, well, why can't we just show it for the view that you're on?
Yeah. And as James told me when he showed me the code, and when I worked with the code, I couldn't help but notice that the JavaScript library you're using is called Mermaid, and Mermaid is pretty nifty, as I have to say, as I studied the documentation. So it's not just limited to ERD diagrams. As you can see here, you can create Gantt diagrams or charts.
Yeah, it's probably worth pointing out that I'm actually using the flow chart, not the ERD. And the reason I'm not using ERD is because the ERD is very, very limited. It looks like the ERD is very recent, and you can't even have some text in a box with a space in it.
Yeah.
Which is quite limiting when everything's got spaces in.
Yeah.
So that's why I went with a flow chart and tried to make it look like an ERD. You know,
yeah, so you can obviously format everything. So this would be the real ERD. Yeah, which looks like an ERD, yes, it does. But of course, you can't put information in there.
With spaces. As you can see in that example, there's no spaces in there.
Yeah, they can't have any spaces. That's funny. Yeah. So, but it's a nice library. I didn't know it before. Of course, who can list all the 10,000 JavaScript libraries that are out there? And that's an interesting one, of course, for other use cases inside Siebel, right? If you want to go there and go down that route, Mermaid is definitely on the recommended list, I would say, for using it in Siebel OpenUI, as it's very versatile. And once you have managed to get, is that Markdown syntax? I guess it's Markdown, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Nick. I've always wanted that, a map. Sorry, Alex.
There's something in the chat, right?
yeah. A map for how scripts are related.
Oh yeah,
would be very nice.
So resolving all the information in the script, obviously, to down to the fields. And
yeah, it's difficult because there's so many different ways that people can write their script, and they can pass field names and BC names as parameters and strings and stuff. So
of course,
you have to parse through tons of stuff to get any reasonable approximation. That's why we've never done it.
So in devpops, we are in an earlier release of devpops in the helpers, and I demonstrated this in Siebel Fridays. We have the dependency finder, which also resolves the scripts for the type you search. So if you search, it's the other way around, right? So you go, for example, for field, and let's say account ID is hopefully a field used in some script, let's say. And so it resolves a lot of different points in the Siebel repository and outside. So there's 100 business components that have an account ID field. It's used in search specific 46 search specifications, but it would have been found in any script. But there's a repository business service server script. Yeah, there's 7 scripts where there is, get field value account ID. So it's the other way around. It's not from the script level to the field level. It's exactly 180 degrees. But the dependency finder can be a start to identify dependencies or references between the object you query for and other objects. And it's extensible. So if you want to know more about it, I can do another Siebel Friday on this.
This is running in the end user application, right? Not web tools.
It can reside in web tools as well.
Web tools, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in web tools, it's integrated in devpops. devpops integrates in web tools.
Yeah.
In a way.
See, we don't have a repository search anymore. So this is sort of like that, only I think better.
Yeah, so you can right-click and find dependencies for any given object. So this searches from the view. You see it's searching responsibilities as well, so it's not limited to the repository. Searching OpenUI JavaScript. So there are 2 applet drill downs referring to that view.
Yeah, that's really good.
One screen. And you can hide the 0 hits, so to only show the real hits, yeah. So of course that's a small view, it's not used very often, but yeah, and as I said, it's extensible, so it's also supporting a full text search. We can search for any string. So that's more like the repository search. So let's do, for example, EAI Siebel.js, one of my favorites. And it will find probably some scripts where it is. Oh yeah. So 60 business service server scripts which include EAI Siebel.js. Yeah. So that's also included in the current devpops. So go for it.
Yeah, we had our own kind of, we called a metadata search, which is basically taking a repository and sticking it into a single table and then searching across it. But I'm now trying to migrate to this version because I kind of prefer this version, to be honest.
And of course, everything will change once we can run ChatGPT 15 as a DLL on a single GPU and make it search the repository and tell us all about it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to announce early on this. I have to cut it short today. I have to well, actually deliver a Siebel training to a customer in 10 minutes, which is always a nice thing to end the day. And if I want to, of course, give you room for discussions in the chat and questions. I see everything has been taken care of in the chat, right? If not, now's the time to speak up. The link to devpops, yeah, Nick, that will be in the replay video on YouTube. There will be links in the description.
Yeah, I'd say to Nick to do it. I mean, we've got our own version of it, but it's a massive time saver for all of our team, whether it's a BA or a tester or a dev, project manager, they all benefit from it. You know,
okay, good to hear. Yeah. All right, and thanks again to James for this great contribution for the visualization of relationships between views, applets, and their related objects. Something to build upon. Yeah.
If you do devpops in dev, you do migration, does it migrate to production?
Well, parts of it would migrate, obviously, the repository parts that you import, but the main business service that it uses is a client-side business service.
Okay.
And that does not migrate unless you take care of migrating it.
Okay.
So it would not work if you would, you know, use any of the functionality in a production environment. It would not work because the underlying major business service is not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, as an alternative, you know, I converted it to a server script, so we actually have it as a server-side business service.
You can always do that. Yeah.
And then we lock it down, you know, so we lock it down. So it's restricted what we allow anyone to do in prod, obviously.
Yeah. You can always add to the code to identify the environment and not run in prod. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So with that, I thank everybody very much for the well, very lively Siebel Friday, and a special thanks to Carrie from Oracle for the candid insights. Always very much appreciated. Thanks to James again, and have a great day or a remaining day, everybody, and stay safe and see you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Bye.
All right, you too. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.